Third phase of moon.
Welcome back, Blake Cousins here, third phase of moon, all the way from Michigan. We got Dan Warner and Alex Guevara, all the way from Michigan. They're capturing TR-3Bs in the night sky. They got their night vision equipment. They're here right now live via Skype, and we're going to go over their incredible captures. And we put this video out yesterday. There's all kinds of comments. People have their own opinions of what's been captured. In my opinion, I believe this is reverse alien technology that we're seeing. Dan, hey, thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon.
My pleasure.
And,
Thanks for having me.
And Alex, you know, you made contact with us right here at Third Phase of Moon. You're there at ET Care, and you wanted to get the word out. Let me ask you, when did you get into this UFO hunting?
Well, it actually started with a story my father's been telling me my whole life about when he was a captain in the U.S. Army back in 1962. He was stationed in Puerto Rico, and one day, coming home from the beach, he looks up and he sees 4 black discs traveling from northeast to southwest over the island. He's been telling me this story my whole life, and I figured maybe he just had a little too much rum to drink that day, but you know, the way he told this story to me and the consistency, literally for the last 40 years, I decided a few years ago to actually start checking into looking at this subject more seriously. And, you know, Blake, I was astounded at what I found. The witness testimony, the documents that have been uncovered, the trace case evidence, the serious researchers now that have been doing this, you know, Dr. Stanton Friedman, you know, the godfather of ufology, and Richard Dolan. I don't know if you've read any of his books, but absolutely a fabulous author, and Dr. Stephen Greer, and Linda Moulton Howe, and Edgar Mitchell, and the list goes on and on and on. This is absolutely the most incredible field to be looking into right now. It is the most incredible story in the history of human history, and as you know, almost nobody knows.
Dan, you're working with this night vision equipment. We shared your setup. Tell me, how did you guys get introduced to each other, and what got you started into looking for these UFOs?
Well, what got me into the UFOs was probably 5-10 years ago. I was on a business trip, and compared to the traffic, the air traffic that was flying near it, when I was coming back from South Carolina, I saw a craft that had to be a 1/4 mile in diameter, that I think it inadvertently slipped out of the base of a thunderstorm.
Wow.
And then realized it was out and went back in. So recently, I got a Christmas bonus and spent that all on the night vision, and probably shouldn't have, because there was other bills that needed to be paid, but got to get some good night vision sometime. So the day I got it, I was supposed to also get a camcorder. The camcorder was being delivered after we left, because it ended up being a day late. Got it up north, stuck it up in the sky, and all night long there was one little thing zinging around the whole sky. It was doing right angle turns. Gave it to the wife, showed her, she's watching it zing all over, right angle turns, all these things that we couldn't be doing. I pulled out my laser and tried to hit it, and I couldn't hit it. The faster I tried to hit it, the faster it'd avoid it. I was getting about as fast as I could go, and then it shot off into space. Turned off the laser, trying to look for it. Bright flash, came back, started zipping around. Then, when it came back, I decided not to bother it anymore, because I obviously upset it. So I watched it zip around the rest of the night. Gave it to other people, talked about it. Went to bed, woke up the next day, and never saw my laser again. So then, last winter, Alex he pulled down a list from Greer's. I donated to the Sirius movie, and he got my name off that. He was having a CE5 out here. So that's where I ended up meeting him. We did a CE5 out in Auburn Hills, and there was one thing that we saw go by. They were always looking at some other part of the sky at the time, though, but we did have something show up then. So Blake, what we're finding is that and we really stress at ET Care, which stands for Extraterrestrial Contact Activism Research and Education, we really stress education and activism because we believe that if disclosure is going to happen, it's going to really be up to you and I and everybody else on the planet. Governments are so entrenched in their secrecy and have been for decades, as we know, dating all the way back to the 40s, that it's really going to be up to us. We have to push. We have to push and keep pushing and educating people. And what Dan and I realize is that the majority of people have no idea what's going on. Those that have some idea there's misinformation and disinformation mixed all in with truth, as you know, and they really don't know exactly what to think of all of it. And then the very few people that actually have a good picture of it just feel so overwhelmed they don't know what to do. And so the message I'd like to share with everybody is certainly look at sites like Third Phase of Moon so you can stay on top of what's happening today, but also go back in history and do your homework so you can see dating all the way back to the early 40s. And of course, extraterrestrials have been visiting our planet for thousands of years. We know that. But the history really started heating up around the Second World War when we started detonating nuclear weapons. And when you talk to Greer and Dolan and all these researchers, they're all in agreement on that we are being watched. And so I would urge everybody to do your homework, learn the history. People can download a chronologic history from our website that has links dated all the way back to the 40s to today of all the major events that have happened. Get informed and get involved. Be an advocate. Be an activist. Write your congressman. Demand disclosure. Because when disclosure happens, our world is going to change forever.
Close encounters of the fifth kind, Dr. Stephen Greer asked people that, if they want to summon them themselves, they could use these techniques. Is this what was happening during this night vision capture of what looks to be a triangular-shaped craft in the sky?
The recent one that I believe you have up now was just, it's freezing here, so I just set the camera out on the back porch and let it run, and then watched it, I think it was 2 or 3 days later. I got back to it and found that on there. So there wasn't a CD5 going on at the time.
The craft that we captured back on November 2nd, there was a CD5 at that particular location that was going on when we captured it. The question I always ask myself, and I do believe that consciousness is a very important part of this, and we all know from studying the extraterrestrial phenomenon that it appears that many extraterrestrial species are telepathic, which is a much higher state of consciousness and ability to communicate telepathically. So there certainly is consciousness involved. Now, the question I always wonder about CD5 is, and maybe it should be tested, is does it make much of a difference whether you're doing a CD5 or not into the quantity of phenomena you're going to see on any given night? I think that should probably be put to the test. I don't think anybody's done it yet. I think that would be an interesting experiment.
When we've had enough of a turnout, like 20 people or more, there's always been something. But then lately when I've been doing the recordings all night long, there usually ends up being something there anyway. So exactly if the CD5 has anything to do with it or not remains to be seen.
I must admit, though, I was at Contact in the Desert last year, and I think you're going this year. I saw your name on the roster. I was at Contact in the Desert last year, and I did sit in on Dr. Stephen Greer's the one-night CE5 he did there. And I have to say that at that CE5, doing the group meditation, I did see what I thought was my first extraterrestrial craft, and it was amazing. I was sitting there talking to a friend, and it what appeared at first to be just a shooting star traveling from north to south at about 12 o'clock. Directly in front of me and probably about 80 degrees in front of me. As it passed directly in front of my view, it flared up to about half the size of the moon and held its size, a bright white glowing ball, and it traversed about another 10 degrees, from like 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, holding this bright position. And then it powered down to its original size, traveled from about 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and then just winked out. Now, some people say, well, that's a meteor, an asteroid. Well, no. I mean, it wasn't flaring. It wasn't, it wasn't undulating in terms of light. It was a perfectly round sphere, perfectly quiet, traveling at the same speed. I don't know what it was, but I can tell you that being at a CE5 and seeing that was an amazing experience. Hey, I got one last question for you. What's your gut feeling on MUFON?
Well, as far as MUFON's concerned, we've had insight that, Bigelow Aerospace, Mr. Bigelow himself, offered them close to $1 million to take information from them for over a year. And whatever came to MUFON, if Bigelow wanted to hold it for himself, which he probably did, paying that kind of money, he wanted the information up front. So to me, it seems like MUFON got infiltrated. Also, you got to think to yourself, MUFON, they really never follow up on people's reports. I guarantee you'll send them your video and they'll never get back to you or give you much credit, and that you put it out in the public domain where everybody will just go ahead and take your video and not give any credit where credit's due. So, MUFON might be broken, but they could be, maybe on the rebound. But in this case, I think Third Phase of Moon is the most, liquid way and quickest way to share it to the masses as fast as it's possibly possible on the internet. With 220,000 subscribers, the word gets out. So MUFON, maybe they're getting on the right track, what I've heard maybe, but once it's broken, it's pretty hard to fix.
Well, I'm convinced that they were infiltrated by the CIA. I mean, I had some direct phone call conversations with Jan Harzen, and these guys are like, they're just completely out of touch, man. And actually, I heard a guy on your show once telling about how he sent his stuff to MUFON and the CIA showed up on his doorstep. Yeah, I agree with you. We don't send our stuff to MUFON anymore. We're going to send our stuff to you first, and you're going to take it from there. So
I did it once and learned my lesson. I sent them that triangle. I think you had it. One good one where we're doing the CE5 and they flew by. And that was case 61223. They got a lot of hits, but I think their overall conclusion was that it was a DC-10 or something, because the DC-10 has 3 lights on it. There's absolutely no way.
They're just an extension of Project Blue Book. They're there to debunk everything. So,
and once you do have something, they never get back to you.
We're just going to shut it down.
So let me ask you, Dan, Alex, what's next for you, and how can people reach out to you if they want to figure out how to, work the equipment like you're working this night vision, and what is happening? Are you guys going to be doing more UFO hunts in the future?
Plan to do them just about every clear night. We have a local group in the area that's going to be doing CE5s on I think a bi-weekly basis out in a clear area up in the thumb. So we're going to try to make those as often as we can. As far as the inquiries go, I've been having a lot of inquiries about the total setup and details and everything. So I think this weekend I'm going to try to get together a video and go through all the details of setup, how everything's made, the layout, how everything fits together. There's all the little details that you need to know to build the system that I have.
Alex?
Just a quick word. Dan made a reference to the thumb. If us people in Michigan, we carry a map of Michigan on our hand, because Michigan, do I have it the right way? Maybe it's that way. Or maybe I can't really tell. So anyways, Michigan looks like a hand. And when Dan says the thumb, he's talking about this particular place out here, out in the middle of the Great Lakes. And the visibility there is incredible. We have perfectly pitch black skies. And of course, out on these lakes, which are like oceans, you can see forever. And so we have a CE5 group that goes up there just about every weekend during the summer and does a lot of CE5 work. And Dan's going to be taking the gear up there to see what we can capture. So, Blake, we're going to be sending you a whole lot more stuff. So get ready. And we really, really appreciate what you do for us. ET Care is not one of these things. We don't sell anything. We don't market anything. What we do is we try to support people that are working hard at ET Disclosure, like you and all the other researchers, to get the word out. So we're going to keep funneling you some great video, and we again really appreciate you putting us on Third Phase of Moon.
Wow, Alex, Dan, incredible videos submitted right here. You've been doing great work over there. We look forward to sharing more of your incredible evidence that comes in. You guys keep your eyes on the skies, stay safe, and let me ask you one last thing, Dan. What happened to your laser pointer after this encounter that you had? You think that you were trying to chase them down with the laser, and they're just like, no, man, we don't play that game.
Yeah, they weren't playing that game. I was getting faster and faster, and it's like they were magnetically programmed to avoid it. Shot off into space, came back. Anyways, after that, it was probably 2, 3 o'clock. I went to bed, and then when I woke up, never found it again. We tore the camper apart. We were out camping up north. Tore the camper apart. My wife and I looked for it everywhere. I stuck it right next to the bed and saw it. I mean, it was right there, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't right there, and we never found it again, never turned up, so I just bought another one.
Wow, unexplained events, guys. Appreciate you sharing your information right here at Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins. We'll see everybody again next time. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Blake.
Thanks for having me.
See you later.
I've